So the soul is what we would call that spark, the God within you. It is the source of you. It is the source vibration of you, the energy. Everything is vibration. The whole universe is energy.
Hello, hello. Today I warmly welcome Cindy Edison and Joseph. I'm really so excited that you have the time today to be here. How are you, Cindy?
Oh, I'm so good. Thank you for having us. It's so exciting. We love what you're doing, obviously. So it's such a pleasure to be here. Yeah.
Thank you. It's yeah, my heart is jumping.
Well, that's a good thing. It's a good thing.
So when I first heard you, it was an interview I heard you. I was totally fascinated, Cindy, and I had an immediate response to everything you said. And therefore I bought your 4 books. Here they are.
Love that.
Allow your soul to lead. So, but before we go into many questions which arises out of the book, or from the book, and as well, I have received from my audience, let me ask you some maybe personal questions. So, how did you come to receive messages? And when did you know that these messages were from Joseph, and why?
Wow. That's about a 30-day conversation, I would say. So,
Okay,
so I will break it down to the highlights.
Yeah.
I had always been very fascinated by channelers. When I was younger, I had friends that would drag me to channeling sessions. This is back like in the late 70s, and early 80s, when everything was just kind of starting. And at least for me, that's when it, and I was drawn to psychics. I've had some great readers in my history. It's been so much fun. I was in advertising for about 35 years, and I sat down one night to write an article, and I was sitting there just thinking, and all of a sudden I just started typing. My hands just started. I know I've heard other people say that, and I never quite understood it, and there's no other way to explain it. I just started typing. It was a knowing, a nudge, the inspired action that they talk about. And just started typing on the laptop, and it started Dear Cindy, and it was a 7 or 9, I don't remember now, page letter, all about me. And it was very odd, but very fascinating. I was so curious by the whole thing. So that's when it all started. That was about 2009. There was a whole history before that doesn't really matter at this point. Well, they don't say that, but for this story, it's not relevant really. Oh, I hate to say that. But anyway, so I began talking with them every night on the computer, and listening and asking a lot of questions like, who are you? And how do I know that it's just not me saying all this stuff? I mean, for months, these questions went on, and the answers were always consistent and the same. And the answer was always, we are you. And from that, everything kind of unfolded. And in 2000, I don't even remember, 14, 16, I don't remember now, 14, I think, I was at work, and I had been listening to Hay House Radio while I was working every single day. And all of a sudden, I started getting these nudges to listen to Esther and Abraham Hicks. Never heard of them before. And all of a sudden, everything I saw was the Abraham Hicks show, Esther and Abraham. And I mean, it went on for several days. And every time I looked somewhere, it was something about them. So I said, all right, I got it. So I started listening and fell in love, just like you did, and just like a sponge, everything made sense. And so one night I was having a conversation with whoever it was at that time. Still didn't know. They wouldn't answer that question. And they said, we are Abraham. And I started laughing out loud. And I was like, yeah, right. And then I start doubting myself, like we do. And as time went on, they sounded like Abraham, and I could feel the truth in what they were saying. And that went on for a while. And then I had a session with Paul Selig, who I love his work, just amazing. And he, when I told him what I was doing and that I was talking to Abraham very confidently for a year now, he said, "Oh, I don't know that that's how it works. I don't think that's how it works." And my stomach got a big pit in it. I thought, am I being taken here? What's going on? And he said, let's ask the guides. And the guides immediately said, there is a group who is trying to teach through her. She needs to ask for their name. So when I went home that night, I powered up the laptop and I said 2 words, what gives? And they started talking and they said, we are indeed Abraham. You must understand, they told me about channeling and how people channel. And they said, we will reveal our name at the right time. And that, I felt the truth in that. I didn't understand it, but I felt like I was excited now, there's more unfolding. So about, I don't know, a little while later, they said, we want you to go away for a month, go to the beach and write the first book. So I did that. Beautiful experience. And at the end of the first welcome letter, they signed it, "We are Joseph." And that's when I met them as Joseph. They explained to me at that point that they are coming out, so to speak, as, an extension of the Seth and Abraham. After the Paul Selig session, a few days later, I was sitting outside, just kind of enjoying, the outside. It was very peaceful. And I saw a vision of a propeller plane, like you see at the beach, come and party with us at so-and-so, bar or whatever. And there were 3 banners, and the first, and the plane was going in front of me, and it was fascinating. And the first banner said Seth, and the second banner said Abraham, and the third banner was blank. And I heard at that time, as soon as I saw that banner, they said, that's us. So when they were explaining everything to me, they said, we are coming out and telling people who we are, because we are teaching evolution. We are teaching the evolution of the human aspect. And in order to offer more clarity on the evolution of the universe, we are revealing our evolution, the evolution of the more expanded version of you, collective humanity, So that was very comforting, of course. Then, everything kind of falls into place, big lump sum. All of a sudden, the puzzle's complete. And then you just start building another puzzle, adding on to it.
It's going on and on. So you became, as we call this, a medium, but you don't go into or a channel, but you don't go into trance like other channels we know. So what about you? So when we talk now, when we talk together, so you are Joseph and Joseph is talking through you, or how can I?
Yes, yes, and yes. The way we describe it is, and that's part of the unfolding of this shift for all of humanity, for all of us. So we need to example, and that was a little bit of an argument I had with them when they said, and I said, okay, I understand all this stuff now, and they said, okay, now do it. I said, wait a minute, you mean I actually have to do all this too? Yeah. So part of our unfolding, part of the expansion and evolution of the human aspect, as we move into the more expanded realms of who we are and understand more and more of who we are, we understand too that our abilities expand. And one of our abilities that we have introduced, several months ago was the understanding of our 6th sense, which is our vibrational acuity. We are moving from a physical realm to a vibrational experience of a physical realm. So it's a whole different ballgame. The entire perspective shifts. There's no fear there. There's no contrast. And the human aspect, this current human aspect, doesn't know how to live without fear. So everything has to change. So part of that change is our recognition of more of who we are, which is the conscious blending of our more expanded aspect, what we refer to as the soul, that soul of us, the God within us, the pure, positive everything of us, the love of us. Every time we experience love or peace or joy or passion, adventure, excitement, all of those are indications that we are in alignment with who we really are. So part of the evolution and the expansion into that vibrational realm is our acknowledging and starting to develop more, focus more on our connection, to our connection to our aspect of oneness.
This is very interesting, and it's very huge for
huge. Yeah.
to get it with. I always say we have 7% brain capacity, and to understand the universe, and it's huge. So you are always talking about the soul aspect and the human aspect. Can you explain a little bit in depth what does it exactly mean? So I got the question: can souls divide? Are we single parts here? How can people understand this soul aspect?
Okay, so for those who are who have read the Bible, and I've read it many, many times, there are wonderful teachings in there, very skewed to the contrast, but the teachings are still the same. So there is a passage that says, the kingdom of God is within you. I could quote I better not. I better not. And this is what is referred to in many different ways, the spark of God within you. And the higher self, there are so many definitions. And of course, there is no way to define it. How we would explain it is that every aspect of the universe has unlimited aspects of itself. This is where it gets, even more, it could be confusing, but if you think about it from a vibrational perspective, it all makes sense and easily understood if you put the element of vibration at the foundation of it. So the soul is what we would call that spark, the God within you. It is the source of you. It is the source vibration of you, the energy. Everything is vibration. The whole universe is energy. And vibration is what moves the energy, and which is where all the universal truths, universal laws are all vibrationally bound. They are all in alignment because they are of vibration. They explain vibration and kind of how it relates to our role here. So the soul of us expands to create more of itself because we're eternal. So there's always more understanding to understand and more expansion to expand into. So the soul of us, in order to expand and to experience more of itself and to create more of itself, really chooses through its unlimited aspects to visit other realms of consciousness where the vibration is different. So it can learn more about itself by choosing, which is why we're here in the contrasting third dimension, as it's referred to, the third dimension. It's actually a dimension of contrasting vibrations to who you really are, And so the soul says, let's go and experience. And the aspects say, okay, I'm going in, and I will represent you. And from our expansion, from the aspect, the human physical aspect, the aspects are vibrational manifestations of that are in vibrational agreement with the realm of consciousness that they're experiencing. I'm trying to make this simple. I really am, but there's just no other way. And so we come here with our spark, and that's how we evolve. And we experience a contrasting realm, and the whole mission, I call it the mission, is to develop and understand more of who we are so we can experience the contrast, knowing who we really are, which is experience the beauty of this realm, of this earth, for what it is, what it really is, just like experiencing us for who we really are, the love. When you look at this earth from a perspective of love and beauty, that's all you see. And so we create everything. We create our experiences here. So our soul is always guiding us. This is our soul's eternal path. And when we are walking with our soul as guides, we all have guides, right? Many, 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 and you know, from many different realms helping us. We take this journey in order to expand. The soul's purpose is to expand love. And every time you feel love and I feel love, and anytime anybody ever experiences the space of alignment, they are feeling the vibration of who they really are, which is their soul. Their soul. We refer to God as the collective soul. So the soul is where we are all connected. That's where the oneness comes in, of the universe. So I don't know if that answered it. There's no easy way to answer that. It's an expanded aspect of us. There.
That's it.
That's it. Yeah.
Therefore, the question came in when we experience the love on it's my word, on the other side, so I call it. So when we reincarnate, is this because we choose to have more experiences in the world, in the 3D world, the world of contrast? Is this the purpose?
Yes. I mean, the choice is, when you choose to come here, it's a collective choice. When you are home, as is called, when you kick off here and you return, what you bring with you is all the love that you've experienced, the alignment, the vibration that you have experienced. You don't take any of the fear. There's no agreement there for that. So you take the love with you, and from that love, the soul and the universe expands. And so, yes, every time we come back, we are expanding an aspect of us. So if you think about it in terms of the bird's eye view, and I will recommend actually to everybody listening to watch our 9-minute channeled video on our website. It's right on the front page, The Evolution of the Human Aspect. This explains it, I think. Josef gives us that to give us a very broad perspective of our journey through the third dimension. And many, many lifetimes, thousands of lifetimes. And every time we come back, we have evolved as the aspect because our soul has evolved. So the soul part of our physical vibration that is us expands this aspect, and then we walk the rest of us, the physical aspect of us, the one that's in agreement with the contrast, forward from that guidance. Mm-hmm. And so this is how we discover more of who we are. We keep waking up, new perspective on every timeline.
So the love which we experience here, for example, for a person or for a child, or the romantic love, is it just a mental construct, or is it a version of love which we have experienced?
Yes, that's exactly it. It is a version of love. When you're in alignment, well, we would hope you would know. Okay, so alignment feels like love in unlimited ways. And everybody experiences alignment differently because we are all vibrationally unique, right? So everybody who experiences love, we hear a lot of you say, and through your journeys, you get in a relationship, and if you break up, and people are upset, and this wasn't love, and absolutely was love. There is, you can only experience love to the degree of your awareness of it, but there's never a lesser love. Mm-hmm. Okay. There's not a little bit of love and a lot of love. There's only love.
No. So you can't measure it. I don't have 2 pounds of love for you.
I love that. Yeah, you have 2 pounds, but at the same time, you have 20,000. Yeah.
So to speak, when we say contrast, you explained it as well in the books, is that what we have here in the physical world named as ego, but we have put them a label on it, so the ego is bad and stuff like that. And you have total different perspective on this. And you say ego is the contrast to experience that we are not in alignment with who we really are. Is this correct?
Yeah, the ego, from our perspective, the definition and label of the ego, the current one, the contrasting one, has served humanity. It was a description of something, people, calling something else, but nobody really has, not that I've heard, has really defined what the ego, just evil. The ego's putting all these thoughts in my mind. The ego's making me do this, and he has a huge ego. No, all of those, any teaching that is fearful or that teaches that there is something outside of you that can control your vibration is out of alignment, of course. So, and you can tell it's out of alignment because it manifests out of alignment experiences, right? Blaming, everything that goes along with the current teaching. So the ego, we tell you that the ego is another aspect of your soul. The soul, it creates balance. It is the balance to the soul in the third dimension for our purpose. When we come in here, we come in with the understanding of who we are on a soul level, and then we come into the contrast, and now we don't know who we are until we figure it out. And the ego says, I'm going in with her, and I'm going to tell her when she's out of alignment by offering the emotion, vibrational communication, by offering the emotion that is in vibrational agreement with the choices that she makes that are out of alignment. When I am making choices of love and all the stuff that's in alignment, that's my indication from my soul that my choosing is creating a pathway toward a manifestation that will be on my eternal path. That's loving and just in alignment with who I really am. But the contrast offers opportunities for choosing too. You can go with the crowd. Our beliefs are out of alignment, which is a whole nother story. Our beliefs are out of alignment. So when we feel what most refer to as the negative emotion, we like to refer to it as an uncomfortable space, the uncomfortable emotion. That is our ego sending up warning signs, that this is the emotion that you are choosing. This is the vibration that you are focused on. And if you continue to focus on this vibration, of course, the vibrational law of attraction is bringing more of that vibration. And ultimately, you will create an experience that is in alignment with that out of alignment choosing, and you won't like it. And if you continue to focus on it, like most people do, it creates illness in the body, because the body is a manifestation of your dominant vibration. So the ego is our pal. The ego, I would give a name that you love to that ego and use the ego as a benefit, as a guide through the contrast. The soul doesn't play in the contrast. The soul provides only what is in agreement with it, which is only love. So the ego does us a favor. And as soon as you shift your perspective about that, your world begins to change, because now you're taking responsibility for your own choosing, which is what it is anyway.
Yeah, it's a choosing universe, as you said. So we have to choose, and everything we choose is consciously or unconsciously what we are choosing. So we don't have to blame, and we can't blame anyone. So you gave a short tip, which is great. So you say, give your ego a name. So when I say, okay, the ego is Paul, for example, so I could better communicate with the space of uncomfortable feelings, as you say. So,
well, we are moving out of the contrast. We have momentum that we've been building for eons of time. Eons, momentum of our creative vibration being out of alignment, choosing from the contrast as opposed to the love. So now we're making a sharp right turn, and we're saying we now have to create momentum in the other direction. So that becomes our habit, and it feels better, and it creates love instead of chaos, what we see happening now. All out of alignment choices, fighting, war, famine, abuse, just awful. Out of alignment choices, not who you are. And if you begin listening to your ego's vibrational communication in the onset, the first response you have is uncomfortable, that's a sign. That's your first sign. The ego is nudging you. The ego is nudging you, saying, I'd rethink that if I were you. Yeah. So the soul and every aspect of the universe communicates vibrationally. That's how we know. So when you're in alignment, you feel it by loving vibrations, and it's unlimited, and when you're out of alignment, you feel it by uncomfortableness. We've all had those experiences. I had a very clear one several years ago. I stopped on an old country road to get a bottle of water, and I walked in, and there were about 10 guys, very big, like farmer guys, and they're all standing around, and the place came to us. I was the only woman in there, and I walked in the door, and I stood there for about 2 seconds and turned around and walked out. That had never happened to me before, but I felt this go now, and those are nudges, and for that kind of thing too, it was uncomfortable for me, and I paid attention. Now we have them on the other side too. You're being drawn to a person or drawn to a phone call or whatever it is. Those are nudges, and they feel really good, So if you start looking at your ego as your friend and talking, thank you. I say thank you all the time. Thank you for that. Now I can step back into alignment, and I don't have to create that bad experience.
Yeah.
Bad.
Yeah. So to say, okay, thank you. It's it's a possibility to shift like a snap.
Like a snap. It is.
Yeah.
It is.
So let me ask you, I just recently, yesterday, I think, I read the following in a trainer's seminar announcement. And I said to myself, I have to ask Cindy about it. So I would really hear your perspective on this.
Okay.
So it was written, everything you experience is a creation on the highest soul level. Limitations that have previously prevented you from being healthier, happier, and richer are also programmed on the soul level, which means that you can reprogram them again once you get to know this program. So from my understanding, she means that we program everything on the soul level. This is, I don't know, what's your perspective on this?
Well, our perspective is that that's a teaching that is serving a certain audience. It's not our teaching, because I hear, and maybe I misunderstood it, but what I heard was out of alignment, fear, all of those things are pre-planned, and that is not that would not be our message at all. You cannot create, because that says to us, and maybe we're misunderstanding, but that says to us that when you are home or when you are in alignment, that you are creating the foreseeing of an out of alignment experience. And that would never be the case. Would never be the case. You cannot create an out of alignment experience from an in alignment position. There's no teaching of fear from alignment. I can't even speak to that. There's the, vibrational agreement is where manifestation happens. Yeah. And so where there's no agreement, there's no manifestation, there's no experience. So if you're creating fear, and of course you can create anything you want, with no judgment. But if you're standing, planning and creating experience of fear, that would not ever be from your soul level, the expanded level. I mean, that's where the human aspect is heading to. The new earth is no fear at all. So, which is why we have to, move beyond that. But that's a level of understanding on a certain trajectory of understanding. We don't really like to speak to other people's teachings because there's a purpose for all of them, but that's not our understanding, or our perspective.
Okay. Yeah, it was for me as well that I had a different kind of resonance to it. So no resonance to it. And therefore I just said, okay, I really want to clarify, because I, as a teacher as well, get such questions. Yeah. And I'm pretty much aligned sometimes. and sometimes not. So
Yeah, right. Well, we're here. So yeah, if you were always aligned, you wouldn't be here anymore.
okay. So um, so there is no wheel, for example, that I have to come back, like the so-called karma. So it's always the free choosing of the soul aspect to create something new, to experience something new.
Yes. Yes.
That's great.
Did you ever, I don't know if we ever talked about this, but did you ever read The Conversations with God, Neil Donald
Yes,
Walsh?
yes,
Do you remember, I think it was in the first book, the story about the little soul, the story that God told Neil about the little soul. It's really a great example for this. So it's pretty quick. I'll reiterate for your listeners. Little soul is standing next to God up in heaven, and they're chit-chatting, and the little soul says, I really want to go back to expand. God's telling him about the expansion of love and all this great stuff. And the little soul is jumping up and down and says, I really want to go. I want to expand more love. And so he says, what else could I understand? Well, how else could I, you know? And and God says to him, and this is not verbatim, but this is the crux of it. God says to him, you could experience pain. And little soul says, I have no idea what that is. What is that? And so God tells him what pain is. And he says, why would I ever want to experience that? He said, because that is one way to experience more of who you are by choosing. Excuse me. So the little soul says, but how could I ever get anybody to create that experience with? And at that point, another little soul zips into the picture and he says, I'll do it for you. And the other little soul looked at him and said, why would you ever want to do that to somebody? I always get verklempt. And the other little soul said, I do it because I love you and I want you to experience more love. And the other one says, well, how could I ever repay you? And the other one says, I would never, you could never repay me, but I would only ask that you remember who I am when it happens. That I'm doing it for you. I'm doing it from love. Every decision made, every choice made from the space of alignment is a choice made from love. There's always a purpose of love in the choice, which is why it's so important, we think, to focus on your own alignment all the time. Why would you not? You know, in every moment we have two choices.
Yeah. And this is where people very often say, you are selfish.
Yeah.
If you choose yourself.
Yeah. And nothing could be farther from the truth, because when you are focused on alignment, remember what Abraham teaches and Esther, you know, one in alignment is more powerful than a million who aren't. When you're in alignment, you affect the entire universe. You're expanding the entire universe. Can you imagine? I said to Joseph one time, we were talking about the new earth, and I said, how are we going to experience that or something? This was many years ago. And they said, Cindy, if every human on the earth right now were to focus on alignment for 60 seconds, everyone would experience the new earth in its non-physical form for 59 of them. And I thought, wow, what a beautiful visual I got from that. You know, just all of a sudden, my visual of the earth just lit up. It was just a ball of light. And that would change everything for us, you know, would change everything. So as we focus more and more on our own alignment, we influence the collective vibration by doing that, because the in alignment vibration is always the dominant ruler, you know, which is why we think everybody should be dominant in that perspective. Yeah.
Yeah. So I got the question, for example, how can we change the world to be a better place? This is your answer. So be selfish, so-called, be selfish, and look that you are in alignment and in love and choosing out of love.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And another thing we'd like to say is we're also suggesting that people shift their perspective from changing the world to the creation of a new one. We are in the process of creating our own pathway to the new earth and creating the new earth. The aspects of us, the expanded aspects of us who will live on the new earth are already there in their non-physical form. We catch up to them, obviously.
Okay, so when the consciousness arises or the vibration arises, so do we shift to a so-called another world, or is it a vibrational energetic world, or what is it?
It was, well, first of all, it's not new. It's new to us. We say the new earth, it will be a new physical experience for us, but it's always been there. It's a different realm of consciousness that offers a different experience, just like the third dimension does. We call it the third dimension and we say the fifth dimension is so much better and la, la, la. There's no better or worse. There's no, the numbers that we humans label things, create this leveling, and there's no level. It's just different. It's a different opportunity to expand. That's what it is. So this space where the new earth already exists, we bring it into our awareness that we're not, and we're going to create our own experiences of that vibration in a physical form. So we are evolving into a new experience. So what who knows, we're all going to experience it uniquely, because everybody experiences alignment uniquely and everybody's choices are unique, but it will all be in alignment. And I picture it as, we will have see-through bodies. We won't have the denseness because for example, we don't need an immune system there. There's nothing to protect us from, nothing to be protected from, because there's nothing out of alignment. So there's nothing that can harm us there because we're not choosing it there. So everything is different. Everything. It is most of us can't fathom or even conjure an image of a place that has no fear, because we have lived in the contrast for so long. Yeah. So it's beautiful. That's what I'll say.
You mentioned it's still a physical form, but it's a other form of vibration. So
yeah,
it's higher vibration. It's no density.
No density.
Okay.
No, because this body was created by our soul, collective us, to be in vibrational agreement with this realm of consciousness. We have to be in vibrational agreement with the consciousness that we are experiencing, or there's no manifestation. That's why people say, oh, you're going to wake up one day just on the new earth. No, that's not how it happens. You don't go there with this body, because this body is in vibrational agreement, and this body is a manifestation of this vibration, the physical vibration of us, the contrasting physical vibration of us. So we come fully equipped to handle everything the third dimension has to offer, and it will be the same in a new vibration. We will be a manifestation. That's why I say it's see-through. I don't know what it looks like. We will be a physical form. We have to take our limits off. We'll be a physical form and a manifestation of that vibrational agreement, the physical and the non-physical love.
Now something. I understood something. So
good.
For example, we leave this body behind, and we choose to go into another dimension in another vibration.
Yeah.
And this is we choosing the new earth, for example. So we are just choosing another vibration, another earth, and with other experiences.
I was going to say, that's exactly what we're choosing, is another experience another opportunity in order to expand an aspect of the soul that we are. We're just going to keep knocking on doors. Our eternal path is just knocking on doors. Let me in,
Yeah, I get goosebumps all over, so.
Well, when you understand it from a vibrational, from an eternal vibrational perspective, then it's not that big of a deal. It's a huge deal to us, because we have limits all over the place. Well, how, who, and there's so many teachings about it. This is just our perspective. This is why we are here. You asked earlier, why now? Because we represent the vibration of the new earth. We're bringing the perspective of that vibration to assist humanity in their understanding of the vibration so they can create their experience of it. You have to know what you're doing. You have to know how you're creating in order to create what you want. And it's all self-responsibility, and most people hate that. Most people don't want that. They'd rather blame. I don't know if I told you this, but on Alex, well, I had an interview, an email one day from a woman who said, I've been listening to Joseph. I love the teachings. I love Joseph's teaching about the ego. It gave me so much relief as I was reading it, but it is in direct contrast to Eckhart Tolle's definition, and I have to stick with him. So, of course, we say that's your choice, there's no judgment or whatever. But we want to point out that through that understanding, and that is for most people, because the conscious choosing of choosing again can be stressful for some people. They don't know the power that they have. But so she was choosing, she said, I feel the relief. She was feeling the monkey off her back. Now I know it's my choice anyway. So I have a choice to do whatever I want. But the other teaching is there's something outside of me that's choosing for me. And that's what she will experience from that teaching. So this is what we say. There's two choices in front of everybody in every moment, and no judgment. Just the knowing that you are setting yourself up for the experience on both pathways.
Yeah, this is important. Yeah, it's really the matter of do I take the responsibility which I have, or do I not take the responsibility? And even if I don't choose the responsibility, something will so-called happen to me.
Yeah, you're choosing it by default.
Yeah.
There's no not choosing.
Yeah. No,
because when you put out a vibration of I'm not choosing, you're choosing to be vulnerable. You're choosing that vulnerable position, which means we liken it to the old pinball machines. Remember, you shoot the ball up the middle and it starts bumping off all these bumpers in there, and it's just ricocheting all over the place. And there's no telling where it's going to end up. And that's what we call the vulnerable vibration, because you're always vulnerable to the most dominant vibration you are in the vicinity of. And you just take on whatever that vibration is. And if you're in that state, the vibration is going to be out of alignment.
Yeah.
And so you're creating by default, which, is not.
And it's about your belief system. So I'm remembering what my mother always said. She said, she had no fear for the other about what's happening on the other side, but she had fear passing the transition. And I could be with her, and it was one of my amazing experience to experience this soul capacity in the room. And then I saw her. She came to me when I was in Bali, sitting on a balcony, and I was a little bit not meditating, I was just there. And I saw her as a young lady with long black hairs, and she smiled at me and she said, everything is totally different. We are singing and laughing and dancing. So she brought this joy to me, and then she disappeared. And I said, wow. So this is what then the other vibration could be, I think.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah. Those, there's no death. And it's a little disappointing to my human side when I think of the grieving that goes on. I certainly understand it, but it's so not necessary. It's not necessary. It's a we're going on vacation kind of thing, and we'll meet up again. I mean, because it really is, I always look at it as we're taking a break before we make the next choice, and reacclimating, because now we've expanded and we're enjoying the expansion there too.
So there is an assumption that after the so-called physical death, when we passing over, we will be picked up, for example, from our previous mother or grandmother or something like that. What is this? Is this just a story, or?
No, I think it's unique to everybody. And I think it's a like every other meeting, whether it's here or there, is always planned. It's planned, it's agreed to, I'll say, it's agreed to. The things that are planned on our eternal path, which includes our transitions, we move to other realms. Everything is on that pathway. Those are, we have helpers, teachers, students. We're all teachers, we're all students, we're all learning from each other, regardless of where we are, where our focus is. So I think that those meetups are agreements, just like they are here. I think they're just agreements, recognizable. When I have experienced other realms and meditations and other aspects, Joseph says that our guides, the angels, whoever we're talking to, our soul, they are other aspects of us, which of course, is kind of dumbed down for me, I think, because what they actually mean is you're all the same. We're all one. So they're all aspects of us anyway, but more recognizable. We recognize them by their vibration, and that is, I think, an agreement that is made. I know my oldest brother was a twin, and he's in his 70s now, and he was born a twin, and she passed 2 weeks after she was born, his twin sister. And a few years ago, I brought her up for my mother, who was very curious, which was interesting because very strict Catholic, but I broke her in a little bit. But so I brought up Diane, and Diane told me she was beautiful in young 20s, looked just like my brother with, but beautiful woman. And she said, I will meet him. And my mother said, ask her why she left. And Diane said, I had to leave so he could live. And that was an agreement they made. Now, I don't know what that means, but it was really sweet. And she said, and I will meet him when he comes back. So it's that kind of thing. A lot of these things we don't understand as humans, and I know people say, well, Joseph knows everything. Well, Joseph can only give me information that I can understand, because I am in constant expansion too. We all are. And as I expand and understand more opportunity comes for more understanding, like everybody, So that, to me, for her to say, I had to leave so he could stay, that's none of my business as far as I'm concerned. There was an agreement made between two aspects for a purpose, and it could be going on for eternity. I don't know that. But yes, so I think, the love just continues. We know, as well as I do, that the transition period is a huge relief and joy. It's a joyful experience. Yeah.
And it's a very, very interesting perspective which you just mentioned, that our guides or angels or whatever we refer to is as well us.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Because I was asked as well from other dimensions, from the Pleiades or from wherever. So is this just, for me, is it just an imagination? Is it other energy form?
You're talking about the Palladians and like the Arcturians and all those other that are referred to as the aliens. Those poor guys, shows our limitations. No, they are, there are so many aspects. There are aspects of us too. They are aspects of us. If you think about the soul as a big blob of energy, huge, unlimited, we can't even fathom, a big blob of energy, and every single little spark is an aspect, and there are unlimited aspects within that soul. And then there are unlimited souls that make up the Godhead. That's how we see it. To put it in some kind of form that we can even fathom, because we can't even, the vastness of the it's just so big, So of course there are other beings. How arrogant of us to think there aren't. There are other beings, universal beings that are manifestations of their dominant vibration, just like we are.
Okay. And they are
You know,
all
and they are aspects of us. Of course they are. Yes, they are. Because it all falls under that category of oneness, the collective soul of God. You know, if they're a universal being, they have what we refer to as a soul. You know, you can call it whatever you want. It's the source energy that is the energy that uh, is your aliveness. You are always, you're never not alive, never.
This is amazing.
It's fun, isn't it?
This is amazing. So you never have to be angry or sad or something like that. This is, if you get a glimpse of this, you don't have to be afraid of anything.
No, no. And it's not, you know, we would never suggest to, we're not suggesting by any means to not feel human emotion. Of course, you know, it's part of our experience here in the physical world. And human emotion is what is indication to us, you know. And so when you shift your perspective about what it actually is, it makes it sweeter almost. It's almost like a bittersweet sadness, you know, when somebody you love leaves. It's, you know, I cry a lot for my mom. I talk to her, you know, but I miss her.
Yeah.
You know, I miss her here. So I understand it, but I have a different perspective because you know, she's having a ball, you know, she's having a ball. She had 7 sisters, all these little Italian chicks, you know, and she was the 8th of 8, one brother. Can you imagine that poor guy?
Oh.
One brother. And she showed me, and she was the last to come, last to go. And she showed me about a year after she was gone, a vision of all of them in the kitchen, cooking and laughing and enjoying each other, just being sisters, what I remember from my childhood, you know, with my grandmother there. I mean, they're all together, and it's so heartwarming, you know, to see that, see those glimpses of love that just keeps going on. It just goes. Beautiful.
Good to know, and very beautiful. So time is running as in our space. We
Okay.
still have time. So where can one find you if it wants more about your work and you and Josef?
Everything is on the website, The Teachings of Josef, that's with an F, as you know, .com. I really encourage everybody to watch that evolution of the human aspect. It's right on the front page, about halfway down, big. Can't miss it. And that's our focus. You can also get to our YouTube channel through there. We have a link to the YouTube channel, and our quotes, our daily quotes are on there. It's a fun site to play around on. The books are on there, and that'll take you to Amazon. Yeah, that's it. It's all under one roof over there.
So last 2 questions for you. So what is your wish for yourself, and what is your wish for the earth?
Oh my God. Well, of course, there's one answer, and that's just peace. It's just peace. You know, that's what I focus on for myself. I focus on alignment. I have a lot of desires, a lot of anticipation, a lot of excitement I'm running on, you know, because I practice focusing on alignment. And I know that's the creative space that we all really want to be in. So I'm actually doing it, you know, and for humanity, the same, you know, to, you know, from me, get our shit together. I mean, we don't have to treat each other this. It's just, it's so sad for me to watch how we treat each other when it's so unnecessary, and the pain that is just transferred from one to another. It's just like this big pool of mud, you know. And I say, take off your muddy shoes and come to the next store. You know, just focus on your own happiness, and that better to pass that on than your pain, you know.
Yeah, so wonderful. So
Yeah.
thank you so much, Cindy.
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful.
I'm so
grateful. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
As always.
Good to know you. I'm so blessed. Thank you.
Oh, we feel the same way, and we appreciate your time and your audience. And bravo to everybody out there who's listening to you.
Thank you so much.
Great job, people. Yeah. Thanks, Pete.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Click on one of the videos below to continue your journey, and tell others about this channel. and please subscribe.